All right. So welcome everyone to our ACE Online Academy ACE Accelerators program, and it's a very I would say it's a very interesting meeting today. I actually asked one of my friends, a longtime friend, to join us today because I feel like she has a wonderful story to tell. Her path is, I wouldn't say, it was a really like she or how to say this. She has a ministry background, right? And so for those of you who are familiar, we do have pastors here, and we do have people who are in the, what do you call this, social, kind of a social nonprofit businesses. And so what I'm saying is like, people can definitely relate to them. And if you are, and she will tell you the story, right? So I met Sheila. I met Sheila back in 2009. Uh, and so we've come a long way together. And then she became a missionary to Norway, in Norway for some time. I think Singapore and then Norway. And then she came back to the Philippines. And then when she came back, she actually introduced me to 100X. So both of us kind of journeyed together to that process. And um, I still remember back then that Pedro asked us to pay $2,000, and I cried because I could not afford. And then I was calling Sheila, and she was also crying because both of us back then could not afford that amount. And then, yeah, but I know. But me and my wife were crying, and then I called her. I said like, "Hey, are you signing up?" And she was crying also. But both of us, sorry, I don't know if you've experienced that, where you want something so much but you can't afford it. I don't know if you have that experience, and I think both of us, Sheila and I, we did had that experience. Like we want it so much, we want to be part of this, and we get, but then by the grace of God, both of us were able to go through process and found a way to, you know, found a way to get that $2,000 in. And then the question
Yes.
for us was, I think back then the question for us is, how do we actually make money from our passion, from the things, from our calling? Because Sheila is a minister. I was, back then I was doing local businesses, and so I was already happy with that, but I still don't know how to earn online during that time. I don't know how to charge. I want to do a lot of things, but it was anyway. So I met her, and then fast forward 2 years later, right? Um, I've seen Sheila really just you know blossom into the coach that she already is 2 years ago. I think the struggle, I remember there was a struggle of charging both, because I also do counseling and coaching, career, in fact, career counseling and coaching way back. And I was so eager to do that without pay. I'm able, so I would travel, right? I would travel and use my own money just to counsel someone. Imagine that. so so both of us were in that place also. I remember Sheila would travel because she lives far. She would pay for, taxi, and then travel for a long place to a long place just to counsel someone. And that's for free. And for us is, to me and a lot of you, um and some of you are in this position, right? Like, how do you really charge what you're worth? And I realized that this is the message that Sheila will bring. And so, um, we don't have a PowerPoint presentation, okay? So I'm gonna allow Sheila to tell her story. I'm gonna ask some questions, just to kind of query a little bit and dig a little bit deeper. I want you here's what I'd like you to do, guys. I want you to ask questions. Okay, I want you to ask questions, and the chat is available for you to do that. Or after our Q&A, maybe in between, I can pull up, and maybe you can raise your hand, and I can basically call you so that we can be organized like that. Is that good? All right. So yeah. All right, Sheila, take it away.
Yes. So it's such an honor to be here, to be, surrounded with amazing people. Hello, guys. It's an honor to serve you tonight. Okay. So thank you, Jesus, for giving me wisdom right now. I believe everybody is a Christian. So yes.
I don't know, but hopefully, yeah.
Okay. So if you are not, please excuse me, but I am a Christian. So John told me to share my story and how I transitioned from, doing things for free to being paid. So basically, I live in a culture where coaching, discipleship, and all that, these are things that are free, not just from the church itself. So here, you could actually define it as just talking to a friend. So they think everything is for free, and it's a long time ago. I thought it was so also, but something really shifted when I think it come to a point also. Joseph has shared to you my life story, not my life story, but
they call me Joe here, so I'm
okay,
not called by my real name, by my alias. Sorry.
Yes, okay. So I'm this girl who loves Jesus through my bone marrows and everything. And wherever he tells me to go, I'm going. So what happened was, I went to Norway and I was serving people in Norway, and all of this was free. There was no support on anybody's end, but I was just so willing to go anywhere where Jesus told me to go. And from that point on, I have children. There's what we call as our daily expenses, and I have to do, they call it tent making. So I have to do odd jobs just to get some money. But from there, I have already been thinking, about, because it's important right now, and I believe we are already in this place where, and you already know your identity of who you are and your purpose, and this is very important when you are designing your own life. When I say design your own life, because as people who are in the kingdom, or if you are an entrepreneur, you are supposed to design your own life, even your own business, your own packages. I was thinking before, I asked myself a question: if there is something that I'm willing to do that people are not gonna pay me for that, but I'm willing to do, what is it? And I realized that I love talking to people, especially one-on-one. I would pay people, or I would just say I would buy them Starbucks to come sit with me, and I'm like right there, and I would say in my mind, let me fix your life. Tell me about your life, where you are right now, and I'm gonna fix it. And I have been doing that for over a decade. I have been doing it all the time. I see people, and I become so good at it because I was looking at people and I could actually see where they are and what kind of problems they're dealing with. And sometimes I became so good at it that they haven't even opened their mouth. I already know. So the thing is, what was so hard is, how do I transition from being paid? Because I also want to better my life, not just me fixing their lives all the time. And we have to create sustainable income and lifestyle, and I think if you are a person who is lacking, or let's just say poor, you do not have a lot of authority to do what you should do. For example, I was counseling people, and I would be writing this public transportation, and I'm meeting someone who is driving a BMW, and I'm fixing their life. And me here, I felt so poor. And so I said I have to change that. I want to change that. But what really happened was when I paid for my coaching in 100x, or God made it happen for me that I was able to pay $2,000 for that coaching, something really switched. Because during those times when I'm not sure if is everybody 100xer? No, no, not really.
No,
Okay.
no one. It's only you and me.
Okay. So let's just say
Everybody's an ACE member. All right.
Okay.
They're paying ACE. Okay. So
Okay. So my point there is when you are paying for something to better your life, or you are planting a seed in your life, in your career, when you're paying for that, you come to realize that you're paying to accelerate your learning. And so it rightfully so, you should be paid as well when you are serving other people. This is the thing is, before you can actually transition, a mind shift has to happen. So what are those things that I was thinking about? You realize that nothing in this world is really free. Not even love, not even salvation. Let me just say that. Salvation, somebody paid for it so that we can be saved. Love is not also free. Contrary to everybody's belief, love is not free. You have to pay for it. You're being a bachelor. You marry someone, you spend for the person that you love. You're actually paying for all this stuff. So why would you think that what you can offer to other people is free? So in my case, as I, being having this experience that people are actually paying for me, this is the things that I realized. You have more authority when they're paying for you. You have more authority on what you are teaching them. And especially when you are a coach, for example, I am a marriage counselor, and I'm a woman. And when they're paying for it, it's very important that this couple would surrender to my teaching. Meaning to say, marriage counseling is like coaching. So if I tell the husband, you should check on your intimacy with your wife, or if I would tell them the problem is communication, could you please hold each other's hands and look into each other's eyes and tell each other how sorry you were for the infidelity, whatever. You need authority for them to do what should be done. And one of the things that would make them submit, believe it or not, it's actually paying for the services that you have offered. And also you create this professional atmosphere, even if we are just online. For me, I have a secretary that does all my inquiries, but actually it's a robot. Those are inquiries that they would
canned messages.
Yes, and I already have, but I wrote all of them. So I already have the things that for the inquiries, the answers to their inquiries, and automatically it would respond. But first and foremost, my mindset is I have already served 10 years of my life doing all these things for free. I have already done my dues as a person who really learned my skill. It's about time that I do not accept what do you call this, free services, free work. Well, yeah,
But by the way, Sheila, let me just pause for a little bit. I'm curious, guys. Put one in the comment if you have a secretary. Put 0 in the comment if you're doing all the booking for yourself. Like, let's do that. Put 1, put 0 if you have someone that does the booking for you. If you have a customer and you're the first person that basically interface with that person, and nothing wrong with that, guys, but let me just tell you something. And Sheila, I'd like you to talk a little bit about that. I'd like you to talk because I have not seen one yet in the comment section, but I want you to talk a little bit about why you have So because this is an online, by the way, guys, this is how Sheila gets booked, right? Sheila gets booked by using her Facebook page, right, Sheila? Is that more or less the
That's
case? And these are
mm,
people who doesn't know you, correct? From
yes,
Adam mostly, right? And then
correct,
there are referrals, correct?
correct.
Okay, and yet even for the referrals, it's not you who's gonna say, "Hey, my name is Sheila. I'm a marriage counselor. How are you? Let's schedule a," not like that, right? So why do you? Yes, and so a lot of people says I'm the only person here. Can you tell them a little bit about the mentality, Sheila? I have
Mm,
so much question I would like to do, but that is a different mentality because normally, guys, right? You would say, "Oh, instead of having another person, you know, I'll do it," right? So can you tell me a little bit of the mentality?
okay, so um, how for me, I'm a coach right now. I'm a marriage counselor, and every time you are the one answering all those inquiries, and they know that you are the one answering those inquiries, what they're gonna do is actually give you the problem already, and then you have violated your own system on how you're gonna get paid. This is the topic that we're talking about. So, and besides, it creates the atmosphere of professionalism, and of you're selling yourself here. You're selling your what do you call this? Your product, and your product has to be professional because you're selling life advice.
Okay, so if someone will tell you, like, maybe get your, they will have your number, right? And then they would call you on the phone and say, "Hey, Sheila, you were referred to us by so the previous client, for example. Can we schedule a I really have problem with my marriage, blah blah blah." What would you say?
Please go to my Facebook page and talk to my secretary so that you can be booked by my secretary. So it's
Okay,
my secretary who does the booking. Um, Please understand this. If you cannot, here's a life hack, okay? If you cannot afford a secretary right now, you can actually be the one behind all that with all your what do you call that?
yeah, script.
Yes, your script. You can be that person, but create a persona that is kind of like your secretary.
Create an
Uh,
avatar, guys. Create a
yes,
virtual avatar that would represent you so that you will not be the first, you will not be the first personality that will answer
yes,
the question. Because the thing is, here's the thing, I don't know how many of you have this situation where they would negotiate for the rates, right?
yes.
They will negotiate for the rates. So if they know they're directly talking to you, and they know about that, like, it's very hard for you to distance yourself and stand on your rate. How many of
Mm,
you, put one in the comment, have this situation where you don't
mm,
want to lower your rate, but then because you're the first person that it's kind of a face to face, it's a phone call, and then you're just like, okay, I'm gonna lower my rate, right? Because so yeah, thank you for that one. But yeah, this is how many of you find this useful? How many of you just that life hack, you're finding it useful? Put one in the comment section if you're finding that useful and you're gonna implement it. One in the comment section if you're gonna implement this. Okay, so don't be the first person. Again, and then, like what Sheila said, hack. This is a life hack. This is the business hack, guys. If you can't hire, create a persona, find a way. This is essentially defining your sales process, right? Sheila would not close it on the phone. Sheila would not close it even if you meet them in the supermarket, right? You would not say, "Okay, 2 o'clock Wednesday," right? You would
yes,
say, "Go to the Facebook page. My secretary will take care of that," right? Because I
yes.
don't know my schedule. So,
Mm, yes,
okay.
that's it. I don't know my schedule. She has to arrange everything. So this actually creates professionalism, and also um, they put you, because it's kind of like perception. They put you in a place where, oh, you can afford a secretary, so this must be really a practice. Remember that you are building a business, or you are building a practice. When, if you're a coach, you're building a practice. And then this is one of the, you build system and strategies. For example, for me, maintaining the client, maybe I should talk about maintaining the client later on, but we have to talk about the mindset on going into becoming paid, you know, from I think it's not finished yet. So let me see. Okay, so one of the strategies also, this is another life hack. One of the strategies where you can get your clients for me is the name of my counseling is actually my city. So I claim the whole city for me, which means the name of my city is Cebu City. So my marriage counseling life Facebook page is Cebu Marriage Counseling, which means if you have a problem, if you are from Cebu, if you have a problem with marriage, with your marriage, you come to me. And to be honest with you, I don't do what do you call that, job, like Facebook
ads, paid ads.
Yes, I don't do Facebook ads, but it generates its own clientele because of the title itself. And one of the reasons is there's not many people who are doing marriage counseling here. Some of them actually travels just to be counseled by me. So
I think there's a lot of people who does marriage counseling, but all of them do it for free. Does that
yes.
make sense, guys? Like so the funny part is in our city, because I also came from, obviously Sheila and I, we all are in the same city, right? There's a lot of people who does free marriage counseling, but guess what? There are premium clients that are looking to pay someone because they're not comfortable of getting someone to counsel them for free. And you know, we do have priests, we do have pastors here, but for some reason, some of these clients, they don't want to go to that free whatever. You know, they want to get someone that's professional, and that's free. Oh no, that's paid.
And this is one thing that I realized actually. When you create your practice, or you create your business, the right people will actually come to you. Meaning to say, you already have an idea of the clientele that you're going to serve. It has to be people who can, and this actually applied when I changed my pricing. So this also is where you can adjust your price according to how you can see the market, or you can see how your clients are behaving, the collective clients are behaving. I realized in the beginning I was a little bit insecure of how I was charging, so I charged just a minimum of, and it was not sustainable. Meaning to say, I was serving more still than being paid in the right way, or the for what I am worth, you know. So what I did was, 1 year into the marriage counseling business, I realized that people will actually pay you no matter what. The right people is what I'm saying. They will pay, and sometimes you would actually regret that you have paid less, because they would come back for another sessions. And this is what I have, yes, this is what I have maintained. You know, when we talk about, for example, building a system and a strategy, one of the strategies that I did was, you cannot come to me just buying one session. You come to me and you buy 5 sessions, because that is me maintaining my clientele, and me, you come to me, you build a problem for 10 years, and you come to me with 1 hour session and expect me to what do you call this? To fix everything? No, I cannot fix everything. I'm not a magician. So what do you do? What you do is to create a system. Like, for example, the first session is the introduction, you know, where are you from? What are you doing? How many kids do you have? This is just one example. And the rest is, you create value for them. And along the way, as you go, you would find with your own niche, what are those? For me, it was inner healing for each individual. I realized that most of the problems are actually just the manifestation of the root cause of things from childhood trauma and everything. So I included that in my package, and this is my business, and I say what I am. I decide the kind of service that they're going to what do you call this, purchase from me. So this is one of the things that you can maintain, and you can really price it. You can maintain your client, and you can really price it to how much you want. And another thing is being confident that you can serve them. Sometimes I have no idea what kind of problem they have, but along the way, there will always be people that you cannot serve. For me, one of the things that I am unable to solve is addiction, pornography, for example, in a marriage. That's something that if it's really, really worse, I cannot fix it. And so I surrounded myself with people. Like I have a gynecologist, and if they need professional help with that, then I can refer to someone. So I actually connected myself with this kind of people. When you build your business, and when you transition from not paid to being paid, there will be a lot of obstacles for you, and you just have to press on, because as you step in, the ideas will start to come, and you can also along the way build your own practice or your own business. When you say I have a practice and I have my own business, the other thing that I do is I actually love crafting. So I have nimble hands. I create teddy bears. When I create teddy bears, even the hobbies that I have, I want to get paid for that, because I love creating them while I'm listening to a sermon or an educational video. I am actually sewing something. So when I am sewing something, I realize that, okay, I can sell this. When I sell that, I did not discount myself, and I would say, oh, I can just sell this for this kind of amount lower than how I would want it. For me, this is my hobby, and if you buy it or not, that's okay. But I'm gonna price it the way I think is worth. You have to pay for more than the materials. What's expensive is actually labor, and then also your time. These things you cannot gain it back anymore. So you have to price your services really well, or your businesses really well. Sometimes, especially here in my country, they have this mindset that oh, it's okay if I create this business and I could just earn just a little bit. Yes, but then it's not wise if you're earning a little bit, because you did not consider the time and the effort. And this time, this is time that are so precious. You cannot gain this back, and you actually spend it more on building your business than being with your family. So at least make it worth it. But also gauge it in where the country that you're living in can pay for it. For example, if I price myself in the US, my 1 hour would be $100. But here in my country, nobody can nobody can afford to pay me 1 hour for $100. It would be very, very difficult for me.
Very few can
Sorry.
afford.
Very few can
There
afford
are people
that.
who can afford it, for sure.
There are people who can afford it, but I would like to have more clientele. Right. There is also other things that I do, like mentoring. But mentoring, actually, it's a different ball game when it comes to mentoring, especially you're doing life together. So with my partner, I get 10% of all her income. So yeah, so I
let
think
me
that's
talk about four things. One, Sheila, is can you walk us through the first your first few strategies and how to get your client when you get started? What were the first few strategies? So you mentioned that you actually posted you actually started with your Facebook page, right, with the name of the city, and I think I've explained that to you guys here, to some of you guys. I remember, I don't Lulu is not here, but I remember telling Lulu Nairobi cakes, right? Cakes in Nairobi, for example, is a really good Facebook name for your
yeah.
page, right? It's some people, they will think, oh, I'm gonna create a page and it's gonna be my name, right? Look, no one will search for your name. No, almost no one
Correct.
will search for your name.
Yes.
So, but someone out there is in need of counseling, for example, or marriage counseling, they would probably type in Google, not in Facebook, in Google, Nairobi marriage counselor. And
Correct.
if that's the name of your page or your website, your ranking will go up, right?
Yes.
And so that's one.
I, I go on the first page of Google immediately, automatically. I search myself, my own business page. I go on the first page of Google. When you search Cebu marriage counseling, there's only me. So
Yeah.
and Joe was saying, oh, maybe I should do marriage counseling. I said, no, Joe, this is all mine. Marriage counseling is fine. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through the first.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna walk you through the first time that when I set this up, and also my first client. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so when I set this up, the first problem, there will always be, like I said, there will always be obstacles. Simplify everything so that don't make it so hard when you're starting something. So what I did was, first thing, I actually prayed that the Lord would give me a place where I can receive my clients. And so I before I lived outside the city, and it was very difficult. And I was already counting, like, oh, if I have to go there, how many hours will I reach the city? And then how much will I spend when I go to the city? So I said to the Lord, give me a house in the city that I can use also as my office, my home office. And so it happened a year later. And when that happened, the moment I come into this house, I said, I created that page. When I created that page, what happened was, I thought to myself that I'm going to receive my first clients here in my house. What happened was, I was out. It was my birthday, and I was outside, like I was in a vacation in a hotel. I was already. It was my birthday, and so it was so difficult because the first client came in during my birthday. And they were so what do you call this, it kind of like, especially when the problem is really intense, they're in a hurry to get to you. So I made them wait for an hour. I was coming back home from a hotel, and I said, please wait for an hour and I will be there. And my arsenal was just myself and the knowledge that I have accumulated over the years on handling a professional marriage counseling. And from there, everything started. So I created this. I created, along the way, every time I get a client, and I would have an idea. Okay, this is good with my business. I put this there. Maybe it should be, the pricing was this amount, and you would encounter people who would actually say, oh, can we just pay like they would actually say like 80% or 50% of the price. And the answer is no. That's why it's necessary for you to have a secretary. So the secretary do not have the power to say, to decide whether they should give discount or not. If you cannot, like I said, if you cannot afford a secretary, create scripts. Even if you are the one sending it, that's okay. As long as there is an avatar that is facing them before they face you. This, okay. So when I transitioned into that, I had so many obstacles. But the thing is, if you want to really do it, if you are interested in your own, if you're interested in your own increase as well, nobody and nothing can stop you. And just for everybody to know, I think everybody knows this, but Joe and I will live in a third world country. But third world country has rich people. Third world country has middle class people that can pay. That's why it's important uh, to differentiate, or to identify what kind of client are you going to have. Are you going to have clients who this avenue, this coaching avenue has a very vast clientele. I could go to what do you call this, a call center right now and offer my services as a package, but I do not want to overwhelm myself as well. So I am here and I'm allowing myself to grow in this business without compromising my own quality of life. Because the reason why we are working actually is because we want to have a good life and we want to enjoy our lives. We don't live to work. We work to enjoy our lives. So one of the things that are important is your network. If you have friends, for me, I'm very blessed enough to have friends who are like Joe, no? Joe, and we have other friends also who are actually creating their own. This is actually, what they said, that tell me who your five friends are, you are the fifth. So most of us are actually creating our own practices, businesses. So there is no escape. Like, you cannot remain as an employee. You have to create your own, because when we meet, we talk about all these things. And I don't want to be the girl who would be with them and I'm just talking about, oh, I'm just in ministry, I live by faith. And by the way, when you say live by faith, I have this wrong notion. I am not sure if you have also this notion that living by faith actually means I'm going to be poor. But then I realized it is according to how big or how small your faith is. If you have faith that can afford $1 billion, then you can be a millionaire. So, Joel, you need to ask me questions
Yeah.
because
So my next question is, of course, like one of the things that usually, one of the hurdles, right, that usually people go through when they set out there, they make an offer, they have a practice, is what's called an imposter syndrome. Like,
oh,
how do you deal with that?
oh yes, I had that too. The beginning was now I don't have that imposter syndrome anymore. But the beginning was a bit more hard. I felt like I needed to be pushed to actually create my own practice, because I'm a marriage counselor. And remember, okay, guys, I want to tell you how big my imposter syndrome is. We have this notion that if you have a broken marriage, if you have a broken marriage, you do not have the right to be a marriage counselor, because how can you counsel and you have a broken marriage? But I am not just talking by experience, but also by wisdom and by the spirit of counsel that is within me. And I think the marriage that I have was enough for me to know what happens in a marriage and how um not to do those things that breaks the marriage. And I have an understanding of psychology, and so that's it, that's enough. But my imposter syndrome was, how could I uh, be a marriage counselor? Remember, I know that I'm amazing when it comes to counseling. Joe can tell you that I'm great with what I do, except the imposter syndrome was so the voice was so loud. Like, how can you be a marriage counselor if your own marriage is broken? How can you be a marriage counselor and accept payment when you don't have a license? You don't what do you call this, you are in ministry, how can you accept payment, all these things. But those kind of imposter syndrome comes in the beginning as one of your obstacles, and you have to fight through it, uh, to stand in what you believe in. What uh, the goal to build it, to really stand firm in it, should be much stronger than the imposter syndrome. And the imposter syndrome are actually just lies. But it felt so real at the time that it would paralyze me sometimes. But I need money. So
Yeah.
the imposter syndrome can paralyze itself because I need to survive, and my children needs food. Sorry.
But yeah, so I how many of you in the chat, if there are voices, that like kind of, that I how many of you understand, I'm sure you understand it, how many of you have like, negative voices regarding your practice? How many of you struggles with that? Put one in the chat. uh, Put one in the chat if you're feeling that. Winnie said even Paul and Jesus in the Bible were not married, but they walk wildly well, they talk wildly about marriage. Thanks, Sheila. All right. So next question, and I don't know, this is not more of a question, but something I'd like you to expound. One of the things that I actually learned from Sheila, guys, was she told me, and I still remember this. She said, "Time is life. Time is life." So meaning to say, if you spend time on something, you're essentially spending your life. And so if you something to the effect that if you don't charge, like how much value do you value your life? And sometimes for some of us, and me included, I realized like that's kind of like we don't really charge as much because we think, especially in effort, right? Especially on things that we do in with our hands, projects like that. We don't always charge about that because we think, oh, this is labor, and this is probably nothing because I'm the only one doing it anyway. I'm not hiring someone. Can you talk a little bit about time equals life?
Me.
Yes, you.
Sorry, I'm lost because I have a point that I want you to first draw. I get back to you with that. First is, you are more valued when they paid for you. Understand this. You are more valued, and they give you more honor if they paid you. And it is your right to be paid. Because what is the difference between people in the marketplace and you? For example, if you are in the church, what is the difference? Both of you are actually serving. The place are only different, but both of you needs a life. You are spending the same amount of groceries, the same gasoline. You're spending that. But we have this wrong thinking, and we have this wrong thinking that people in the ministry, uh, they should be poor. And that's okay if you don't pay them because they are servants of the Lord. But both this, the marketplace, this is where I changed my mind about this, because I realized that marketplace and church are both ministry. They are both ministry. If you are an entrepreneur, you are in ministry. You are serving the kingdom anyhow. So if you are not a Christian, you are still doing a service to your to the humankind. So time equals life. This is the most expensive thing you can actually give to a person is time, because you cannot gain it back. That is why you have to charge accordingly, in which you are happy with the money that they are giving you. At the same, because sometimes if you are always, if you are going to meet a client, you're going to spend for the gasoline, you're going to spend for coffee, and you're going to spend, like for example in this setting, and then there's this non things that cannot be seen, that you are spending of, which is your life, your effort, your energy. You're spending it also, and even the emotional energy, it's it's what do you call this? It's also something that you are giving to them, and you have to be paid rightfully with all that. You have to change your mind about this, because the time that you give is actually gold. It's precious. You cannot gain it back.
Right.
More question.
Last topic I'd like to discuss is really like earning outside your country, right? Like what are the mind shift? Like what are the
Mm,
things that what are your thoughts on that?
okay. So I live outside the country for quite some time, you know. So uh I actually you know, the cap in my country, like the lid, what I mean, has been removed. And I realized that if this is what I told Joe, and I know he actually treasured this wisdom in his heart, because he's doing it right now. I told him to think in dollars, because this is also working smart. In my country, 1:50, meaning to say, one effort, and if he gets paid in the US, it's multiplied by 50. So, excuse me, it is wise for you, if you don't just want to survive. You just don't want to because, you know, you have to have this healthy attitude with money. Money is not evil. It's the love of money, you know, that ruins us. But money is a tool that can serve you and can serve your humanity. You cannot help other people if you do not have money. Because if have you noticed how crippling and how disabling, crippling, and desperate a person is if he cannot afford his own meal? It it's very degrading, and it's also it takes away your humanity. You feel like you are naked in front of somebody when you cannot afford, you know, paying for your meal, or paying for your children's tuition fees in school. And so you have to change your mind about it, and you deserve to be paid. And if you are paid 50 times over, then it is wisdom.
Right. Thanks, Sheila. And so while Winnie has a question, I'm gonna read this question. But if you have any question, please type in the chat or raise your hand so I can call your name so you can ask question. So let me just ask this question from Winnie. Winnie said, "How do you manage clients who are not able to get results even after your coaching?"
Mm, okay. You cannot help everybody. And to be honest, this is my philosophy, or I tell my clients this. I can guide you, I can facilitate, I can coach you, but at the end of the day, you are the couple. You are going to be the one who's going to execute what you have learned here. So if you do not obey, you do not follow, then I cannot help you. And so I have accepted the fact that I am not God. I can help them for as long as they can help themselves as well. If they're willing, I am only giving them the tool. I am not the one who's fixing it really. I'm not the, you know, they will fix it by themselves, but I'm giving them the tool to fix it. And if I am not able to, I I have this thing like when I get I feel the joy when I am able to help a couple. I feel the joy when I am able to lift another person. But if I am not able to help them, it is not my fault, because I gave the same service. People will always respond according to who they are, what and who they are at that moment. We're gonna judge them because they can grow. It could probably mean that they can apply these things a year later, maybe not now. And so I want to be kind to myself, that if they cannot you know, if it's not an okay session, like they were not, I also say no to what do you call this, to clients if it's not a match. One instance is when um they recorded me without me my permission. They were recording me while they were on in a session. It's not a problem, but they have to ask me. And the wife was kind of like, you know, that kind. And so I told them that I am not going to. You will pay for this session right now, but my secretary is going to return the rest of your money because I will not accept uh, this attitude. So it is up to you. Don't do things for the sake of money. There's always this, but that's why you are doing your own practice. You have the power to choose which client you're going to receive.
Awesome. Thank you, Sheila. Okay, let me just open the floor for questions. Right now, I would say I'll give the next 5 minutes for questions. Okay, let's go.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, Joki.
Okay, mine is, let me start it like a story. I have been having a crazy notion because a lot of the work that I do is to groups in community. So I've had a crazy notion, like I wish I could get someone to pay me to do what I do, whether it's an individual or a company or whatever. But it's so, I haven't figured out how to charge people because I work under the umbrella of a foundation. So where would I start from? I work with with adults who are spinally injured and who acquire paralysis later on in life. And in other things, I just talk to people about like good nutritional values and how to get their health back into order. And I really can't figure out how to do those things yet.
This is Jane.
No, it's
Joki.
Joki.
Joki. Okay. You cannot expect to be paid there anymore where you are right now. You have to create your own. In this umbrella that you're in right now, you cannot expect that you will be paid there. You can, but it's a little bit difficult. So it is wise for you to create your own, meaning to say, we are now in a digital world, and people have their own. For example, this is what personally, this is what I did. I created my own Facebook page, and from there, I can use. I have done a lot of free counseling, free coaching. I have done all that, but I have to create and start and begin into the process of building my own practice until such time wherein I do not accept free anymore. There are a few, just once a year, that it could be free, but not really. There were people who would message me and say, we cannot afford you. Is it okay if you can, if it's just free or something? The answer is no, because I have already transitioned into being paid. And I don't want any, because for me, in my mindset is, I have already done a decade of this for free. It's time for me to be paid. And so for you have to begin in a different, I don't know your setup basically. So I don't know if you are well versed with the internet or stuff like that. But in our society right now, everything is being run by the internet. It's very good for you to start somewhere and create a free, one of the things that, for example, for me, I created a Facebook page where people could come and inquire. Advertisement influence is always very good. And remember, because I was I in my Facebook page, you cannot see me, or they don't know who the marriage counselor is. They would just ask in private, may I know the background of the counselor? And so I have also created a script where it could just be sent, give them the information. And I sometimes, because they're looking for what they call this, a psychologist, and I am not a psychologist. I was a missionary. I am endowed with the spirit of counsel. And how do you sell that to people? I don't force myself into them. I just say that, because I was a pastor in Norway before, I would just say that my secretary will just say she is not a psychologist, she is a pastor. And so there's no forcing there. You take it or leave it. But I could honestly say that I'm the best in my city when it comes to marriage counseling. And Jo taught me how to say that I'm the best in my city. Yes, you have to internalize that. And when, for example, you are facing different kind of people every single day, but if you are sure with your identity, and if you are sure with the services that you can do, there will always be people that you cannot help, and that's okay, because the number of people you are able to help are more than, it's just like in a church setting. Not everybody could get healed, but be thankful, be grateful for those that have been healed, for example, in a healing situation. And so for Juki, create your own, in this umbrella we're in right now, you cannot be paid. You create your own and begin there.
Create your own branding.
Correct. Great. That's correct.
Create your own company, create your own branding. And that's a really good question, Joki. So yeah, thank you, Sheila, for answering. Any other question? Oh, okay. Let me just do this. Can you each one of you, can you prepare like one takeaway, from this conversation? I'd like to ask each one of you, and then we're gonna end. Esther, can you start? What's that one takeaway that you've gotten from this conversation? Esther, you're muted, Esther. Just in case you're trying to speak. Okay. I don't know why, but let's go to the next one on my list. Is Gladys.
Okay, I got a couple of things. I love the fact that she said, if you believe you're a billionaire, you tell God you're a billionaire and to become a billionaire. But my takeaway was basically about the Facebook page, the name, the way she's named her business after a city. So when you Google, it's easier. So that's something I'm really going to think about. It made a lot of sense. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Gladys. Let's go to Jane. Jane Betty. And Esther, you said you're in a noisy place. If you can type in your takeaway, I'll read it. How about Jane? Okay, let's maybe she's still preparing. Let's go to Pastor Lillian. Pastor Lillian, are you able to speak?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello?
Yes,
Can you
Pastor Lillian.
hear me?
You're breaking up a little bit. But yeah.
My takeaway is what Sheila said about being in ministry and doing things for free. So there's so many things that I can from her. For example, I can impact somebody by making them pay so that I can also get something out of it. Because I'm not in free services. Being in ministry, there's so many things I'm doing for free. And I think so that it will help so much.
Okay. Yeah. So I think what you're breaking up a little bit, Pastor Lillian. If you can type the rest of your takeaway in the chat, I'll be happy to read it. Okay. All right. So let's go to Mary. Mary Mundia.
Thank you so much for that. I hope you can hear me. Thank you so
We hear
much
you.
for all. I have so many takeouts, but I think the first thing that I'm going to implement is creating a secretary. I really like the fact that it really comes out very professionally. And the idea that when someone calls you, you can actually have some fixed rates, because people really call and ask all manner. I mean, they really want they want to bargain, they want half the costs, and sometimes you wonder, is it the value, is it like they don't see the value? So it really gives you that professional, it makes you value what you're putting out there. So I really like that, and I'm going to find out how to do that, how to create an avatar secretary. Thank you.
Sylvia will help you, Mary. Okay, let's go to the next person. Who haven't spoken yet? Mercy, are you able to speak?
Josh, she's put it in the chat. Maybe you
Okay,
can
she
read
did.
it. It's in the chat.
Oh, I'll read it. Thanks, Sheila. I love the intermingling of your faith and practice. My greatest takeaway or takeout were on having a system with the secretary and also being confident in the value you offer. Okay. All right. So next would be, thank you. Thank you for that, Mercy. Well, let me read from Esther. Esther said, my takeaway is that I paid to accelerate my learning, so I should be paid for my services. Funny, but true. All right. I think that should be your number one takeaway, because you guys are paying for your education. Next to speak is Winnie. Winnie, you're already what do you call this? You already enabled your video, so let's go.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, and thank you, Sheila, for really taking time to talk to us and share with us business wisdom. So my takeaway is the fact that though we are in the third world countries or developing countries, we have a growing middle class, and we even have millionaires in these countries of ours. And therefore, there is the business concept is really, business is available. And amazingly, yesterday I was listening to some talk whereby the person talking was saying, if you can solve a millionaire's problem, then you can get a share in his millions.
Yes, absolutely.
So really, that's a very good encouragement. That they sometimes we feel, as Mary has said, people are negotiating. They say, "Oh, they don't have money. Oh, they're expensive." But the idea is just to focus on what kind of problems we are solving and to which kind of people are able to pay, and then our business will take off. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Winnie. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next person. Shalom. Shalom, are you able to?
Yes,
All right, there we go.
I'll speak, but my bandwidth is low, so my video is compromised.
Okay, no worries.
All right, yeah, I have, like they're saying, I've got like 10 takeouts, but I'll just name two, which totally popped up. One was when you talked about naming your page, name your page based, what I wrote is name your page based on what you're doing. And I even gave myself an example, and it actually does sound great. It sounds like the place that people would come, naming it after the city gives it a certain level of authority. Yeah. Then now the other one was, if you're interested, again, it's paraphrased. something like, if you're interested in your increase, no one can stop you. And you went on to explain about identifying the clients that you'll have across the economic levels. There was a time I used to feel guilty about the clientele that I was choosing. I have stopped feeling guilty about that, where I said, okay, I know that everybody, I'm also in counseling, and I know that people have problems across the board, even those who cannot afford to pay for my services. But what I did was actually have contacts that I can pass on for those who want free services. Because there is somebody who will offer free services. Churches give the free services. So when somebody comes and tells me, I can't afford your fee, I have other options that I give them, as opposed to trying to renegotiate my fee. So I tell them, if you want to pay this much, then these are the places where you have options. Because I understand, but I'm not able to accommodate you at any lower than what I charge. That was one. So I like that you gave that, and you said, you just choose your lot, choose who it is that you want to serve. And I feel that has helped. And also through ACE, and I think it was after a conversation we had with Joe, I also started charging people for talking to me on the phone. So now they're beginning to refer others to each other. So when somebody calls and starts giving me their problem, I have a polite way of cutting it short and telling them, we need to book a telesession. And a telesession costs this much, And so what they do is, oh, okay, sorry, I understand. When can we talk? I'll call you and we speak for an hour. And then they pay for that hour. That was something that I never used to do before. I started doing after ACE. So I'd say thank you very much for your session. Lots of takeouts, which will definitely apply. Yeah, thank you, Sheila.
Right. Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Let me just read Pastor Lillian's takeaway. Number one, being professional. Number two, the time is life. Number three, I'm happy to see how to do ministry and being paid. Doing ministry is like selling in the marketplace. We are all serving. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Did I miss anyone? Right. I was able to call everyone. Right. So Sheila, any last thought?
Yes, I have. I actually wrote it down. Please take note that we live in different times right now. So do not confine yourself in the normal mentality of people. Like, for example, for me, you have to be married. I grew up in a church setting where you have to be married to be able to do marriage counseling. It's not like that right now anymore. Some people are actually doing out of their, getting paid much more because of their gifting, and they have honed that gifting. They have invested in that gifting time, money, and effort to better themselves. And education right now is no longer the same as it has been, because information is already out in the open. Whatever it is that you are willing to learn, if you want to learn it, you can even do it for free if you have YouTube. But of course, when you are paying for your education to better yourself, it actually creates a breakthrough in your mind, wherein you are also willing to receive payment from others. And another thing is carry on, meaning to say, if the client is not able to afford you, carry on. Don't what do you call this? Some of the clients will actually say, let me just save up so that I can afford you. Give them the time to save up so that they can afford you. But do not adjust to their level wherein you say, okay, you can just pay half. No, you're already done. Don't go down into that level because you want increase. They can believe for their own increase. Don't go there. As you get much better with what you do, you become an expert, and believe in yourself. Nobody else is going to believe you. Believe in the practice that you're creating or your business, because nobody can be more of your cheerleader and somebody who believes in what you do than you can. And if they cannot pay you, carry on. Next client, please. Somebody who can afford it. So, because time is life. That's my last.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Sheila, for the time. Really, it's a wonderful, time that you spent with us. I'm sure I can speak with everyone here at ACE. We appreciate the time that you've spent. Really a pleasure. Everybody, I don't know how maybe we can give you a round of applause. Thank you so much. Okay,
you.
virtual round of applause. All right. So okay, let me just stop the recording. And again, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let me just do an announcement. Stop recording, and let's do a quick